Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Current Events class. My name is Sabbath Rachel Lafleur, and today I have the honor of having some of our middle school students to share with us today, and I'd like to introduce them to you before we start. I have Truth Lafleur, who is a 7th grader. I have Genesis Lewis, who is also a 7th grader. I have Zipporah Lafleur, who is a 7th grader, Fidel Sam, who is a 7th grader, and I have Zamir Ward, who is also a 7th grader. Welcome everyone to this week's current events class. How are you all doing?
Good. Good.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
great.
doing
Good. Now, we have a lot to talk about today. We are not able to meet in persons because we have all been quarantined, as most of the world is at this point now. And so we're having to do this again through video. And I want to thank the technicians before we start for helping us to put this together for us. So before we start, let me just first off say that it's good to see your faces. I have missed all of you. Haven't seen you all in about a month now. And each day is passing that we are not in the presence of one another. So it's good to see your faces this morning, even through video. It's wonderful to see you all. So as we start, I want to start off by asking you, we've been home now for about a month, and everyone has had their own experience of being home for these past 4 weeks. How has it been for you all? And I want to start with Genesis. Tell me about your experience.
It's been good staying at home, but I miss my friends and I miss going to school because you're at home with the same people all the time. Like, I love my family, but I like to see some other people besides
Okay.
them.
And Zipporah, what about you?
It's great being home, but like as Genesis said, I miss my friends, and I miss going to school because it's like we can't move around. We have to stay in the same spot.
Okay. And Zamir, how's it been for you?
And boring because I can't really go outside like I usually do. I just have to stay in the house and make what's best of it.
Okay. And Fidel?
It has been good, but I miss going to school and seeing my friends. Like, I don't want to stay home all the time. Like, I want to go outside sometimes. That's why.
Right. Okay. And Truth?
Well, I'm the type of person who likes going out. It's pretty hard staying in the house with nothing to do. It gets boring.
Okay. Now, all of you are going online school, of course, as you are getting your work from your teachers. And I heard all of you say that you miss going to school, you miss your peers, you just miss being out. How has online school been for you all? Has it been difficult? Has it been easy? How has your experience been with that? Genesis?
It's not difficult, but it's also been harder because you have to stay on schedule. Send that person working at the time that they send, and you gotta keep track because when you're at home, you get lazy and you just not focus on what to work. Because if you're in school, the teacher will keep reminding you do your work and everything, but you don't have that at home unless your parents do that for you.
Okay. And what about for you, Fidel?
It has been hard because sometimes all the teachers sends the work at the same time. So I miss going to school because we have separate classes and we each have couple of times of doing our homeworks there. I don't like doing online classes because all the teachers sends me all the work. That's it.
Okay. And Zamir, how's your experience been?
I like doing work better in person because it's more hands-on and the teacher stays on top of you. When you're home, you get really lazy, so I think that online class isn't very hard.
And Zipporah?
It's been really difficult because you have to stay on track, and it's kind of easy staying on track, but it's like really really hard, and because you have to like wake up early, and you have to go on the Google Classroom and see what you have, and you have to send stuff to people, like to your
All
teacher.
right. And Truth?
Well, I'd rather be at school because sometimes I just don't feel like doing it, and I have to wake up to see all this work.
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you all is that doing online school is not easy, of course, and it may seem like all of your teachers are sending your work at the same time, but it's just that you all are getting all of your work through your emails, right, through the classrooms. So it seems like it's all being sent at the same time. In actuality, it's not. But let me ask you this question, based upon what I've just heard you all say. Do you feel disconnected from school because you are not there in person? Doing online class and having your work being sent online, and I have seen Elder Lafleur in these past few weeks actually doing video classrooms with his students, as well as some of his students' parents who sit there with their children as he's teaching their children the various kinds of math. Does online schooling make you feel disconnected from school because you're not actually there in person? Fidel?
Yes, it makes me feel disconnected because when we're in the classrooms, we get to like help each other and all of that, and I don't like video calling some people.
Okay. All right. What about you, Genesis?
I feel disconnected in a way because when I'm at school, my teacher will tell us the work, and I feel like when you have a person telling you, it just sticks in your mind more. But when you're at home with your parents, you have to do that on your own without the teacher's help, and it's really kind of hard to do that.
Okay. Zipporah?
It's kind of hard because when you're there, I do feel disconnected because when you're there, you get to actually your teacher gets to help you when you need help, and I sometimes I like video call them, but I feel more connected when I'm there because I understand more.
Okay. All right. And Truth?
Yes, I feel disconnected because when you're there at school, you can ask your teachers questions and they can answer it right there. But on online classes, if you ask it, they may answer a little later, and sometimes you may not understand, and you really need someone to be there with you to teach it to you.
Okay. And the reasons I asked that question is because I had an online video with my class this morning, the fourth and fifth grade. And as I was talking to the students as well as their parents, the thing that I noticed, I communicate with my students' parents every week, and I communicate with my students daily. But what I felt was when we got on the video this morning, one, everyone was super excited to see one another and so forth. But I felt that there was a disconnect because we're not in each other's presence. And though we are doing school online, which is a great thing because we are continuing education, it's not the same. So let me ask you this question. The fact that we've been home this past month, the fact that you have not been able to go to school or any place else for that matter, how are you all dealing with this? What is your mindset like?
Well, I could do my work, but there's it's like I don't really have much to do when I'm finished doing my work, and I kind of feel like bored, like nothing to do. So just like watch TV and stuff. But when we stay home, we do that like every day, and it's kind of annoying because I want to like go outside and like have fun, play outside in the swings and slides and stuff. But I don't really I don't really like staying home that much because it's just kind of boring.
Okay. And Zamir, you stated earlier that you're bored at home. Um, how has your mindset been being home these past 4 weeks and not having to be in school, not having to see your peers and go outside and so forth?
My mindset is I wonder when the coronavirus case is going to be over and we could finally go outside, because I wish we didn't have to stay cooped up in the house all day repeating the same thing. So that's my mindset during the quarantine.
And let me ask you all this question, because before we got on, Governor Cuomo had a briefing this morning, and he stated that he's going to put in the stay-at-home order until May 15th. So we're going to go another month where he has issued a stay-at-home order, meaning exactly what we're in the midst of right now, that we cannot go outside, that we should stay indoors as much as possible. Knowing that truth, that we're going to have to experience this another month. School is obviously not going to open up for this school year. So that's a given. And we don't know what's going to happen in September, whether we'll be able to go back in school in September. How do you all deal with that, Fidel?
All I do is play with my friends as much as I can before I go to bed. And then when I wake up, I eat and then play around. And then after that, when it's around like 1, like this time around, and then play with my friends again. But I can't play with all my friends because we don't have, like, we usually play one game, but me and Zamir play different games.
Okay, and when you're talking about playing with your friends, you're talking about actually doing it through technology, right? Through video or video games, right?
Yes.
Okay, but the fact that you can't physically be in the presence of one another like you all do on a day-to-day basis when you went to school every day, how are you dealing with that?
Well, when we play, we just forget about, like, we can't see each other in person and all of that. All we focus about is the game, most likely.
Okay. And Genesis, how is this with you?
It's kind of been upsetting because at the beginning they said we're supposed to go back at April 20th, and now he's pushing it back again. So like everybody was waiting for that day to go back, and now they have to wait again just for them to push it back again, because we know he's gonna do it again. So it's kind of been upsetting, but I try to take my mind off of it. After I do my work, I just try to like watch videos and stuff to get my mind off of it. Like Fidel said, I play games with my friends, but it's kind of hard to cope with that you're not going to see your friends for like 3 months, and on the fact that we might not go back in September, you're not going to see your friends in like on a lot of months, and it's kind of sad that you're not going to see them anytime soon.
Okay, and Truth, for you?
Well, I am sad that I can't see my friends, but I know that I could still find a way to communicate with them. And when I talk to people like Genesis or Zipporah, they'll be like they missed us, and I'll be like we miss each other too. And we'll just find time to talk about things because we can't see each other in person.
So let me turn the corner for a second in regards to the coronavirus. Again, as we've been home the past month, how are the people in the community that you live in, where you live, your family members, your friends, and so forth? How is their response to this coronavirus? Are they paying attention to it? Are they following the guidelines that have been put forth as far as wearing masks and gloves? Are they being careful, or are they just disregarding things? Zamir, let's start with you.
The people in the community, I would say some of them are following the rules and some of them are not, because you could see people when you go outside with a mask and gloves on and the proper stuff to wear, but you see people without the necessities that you need during the coronavirus. So I think that is very interesting how half of the people are following the rules and half of the people are not.
Okay. And Fidel, what about you where you live?
Where I live, most likely I don't see my neighbors, but I think that most of them follow the rules and some of them don't follow the rules. When they don't follow the rules, they most likely catch the coronavirus faster, and then they bring it into the buildings and the neighborhoods. And that's how it
Mm.
spreads quickly around.
Yeah, yeah, it certainly does that way. Genesis, what about you where you live?
Some people are following the rules and some are not. Like Mary said, I see people walking outside like they're walking their dog and everything. Like they follow it, but they're not doing it. Cause you know how you can pass germs while wearing gloves too. If you touch your
Mm-hmm.
face or anything, you're still
Right.
passing germs. You're not doing what you're supposed to do. Some are staying.
Absolutely.
Some are staying inside because they're elderly. They have
Mhm.
children, but they most likely they go outside. They just do whatever they want. My father told me a story that he saw a kid walking down the street. He had nothing on. All he had was shorts on, no shirt, no glove, no mask, and he was just running around. That's his parents' fault. He's gonna catch
Mhm.
something eventually. So they're not
Yeah.
following the guidelines, or neither is his parents. So I don't know how these people are going to survive the tribulation.
And Zipporah, how has it been? And I'm going to come back to that thought that you just made, Genesis. Zipporah, how has it been for you where you live? Does it look like people are paying attention or they're just disregarding it?
Some people are paying attention, some are not, because there are usually people like outside of our building, and they're just it's like they're just hanging around, like doing nothing, just talking to each other, and it's just I don't understand how they could just sit around like nothing's gonna happen to them, and then something actually does happen to them, and then they want to say, and then they want to act like, oh, I didn't know about this, and it just bothers me. But but my father, he goes, like, he gets some food for us and make sure we're safe, and he goes to work, so I think we're gonna be fine.
So all of you have made the statements that there are some people that are following, there are some people that are just disregarding things. So my next question to ask is, why do you think that people are just disregarding things, that they're not paying attention, that they're not wearing masks, that they're not taking the necessary precautions that they need to take? Why do you think they are doing that?
Cause when they
Genesis,
watch
what do you think?
They think that they're not going to catch it. I think that they're trying to stop the spread, but they're not. They're not thinking about the people around them. They go outside to just do something, but they don't have the proper necessities. They bring it back to the building to whoever lives there. They don't care about other people. They just worrying about themselves. And that's why they're gonna get in trouble with God. God's going to find them for doing all these wrong things.
Okay. Fadel, I'm sorry. You were going to say something?
Yeah, it's like when you watch the news and you hear that the coronavirus is like not near where you at. So in your mind, you thinking that the coronavirus is not gonna like affect you or nothing like that. So you go outside and roam around, do whatever you need to do, and you catch germs when you bring it in there. And then the coronavirus travels fif- it travels 15 no 13 miles per hour, so you could
Yeah,
catch it
13
within
feet. 13
30
feet.
feet 30 feet per an hour,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
it's traveling quickly. You When I first heard about the coronavirus, it was at China, and it got to the
Mm-hmm.
USA under like a couple of weeks like that because people don't follow rules.
Right. And on that note, Fidel, that you just made, do you think that if Tribulation Trump would have responded earlier, that most people would have, and not to the extent that we have it now, there'd be less people that would have been infected, and less people surely that would have died. Do you think that if we responded earlier as the United States of America, Tribulation Trump being the president, that that would have been the case now?
Yes. We if we responded earlier, we could have got more hand sanitizer and soaps. But some basketball players have it, like Kevin Durant has the coronavirus, and Kyrie Irving went to the doctor for checkup to see if he has it too.
Yes. And so what you're saying, Fidel, is that the coronavirus is no respecter of persons, meaning it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter how much fame you have, it doesn't matter what kind of position you hold within this world, anybody and everybody could get the coronavirus, is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And when we talk about that, knowing that that is true, because many, as you just spoke, there are athletes who have tested positive for the coronavirus. There are certainly actors and actresses and musicians as well, and people in political positions that have had the coronavirus. And we know that this is by the hand of God. Genesis, you touched on this in two of your statements you made thus far. What do you think God is doing at this time?
He's wiping away most of the people that disobeyed his law, because this is a tribulation. So he's getting like back at the people for disobeying him. So each individual thing that's going to happen is going to get worse and worse. Like cancer is a disease, and it's God's most killing machine. Cancer affects a lot of people, and most of which is what God wants it, because God controls anything He wants. He can save a person if He wanted to, or He can cut them off.
So let me ask you all this question. As I'm listening to you all speak, because we know the truth, because we listen to the Honorable James David Manning, because we follow what the Bible states, and we all know that this is a result of God is in control of all of this, right? How do you convey this to people who are disregarding it, or do you even try to convey this to them? And I'm speaking more specifically to your family members, to your friends, because you know the truth, right? People think that, many people think that this is a hoax. They don't think it's real. Many people think that this is not serious, which is why some people are walking around, as you all stated, and they're disregarding things, right? What have you done, or what do you think you can do, if possible, to try to convey to people how very serious this is? Or do you think that people are just going to continue to disregard it no matter what is said? Zipporah?
Well, I would think that people, because it seems like they don't really care about the coronavirus. Like nothing will happen to them. Like they're young, nothing will happen. It like happens to older people, but is that actually wrong? Because it can happen to anybody, no matter where you are. And
Right.
and it's just, people can act stupid sometimes, like idiots, like they don't know nothing, they think they don't know anything. And it's just that, and they could just run around doing anything they want, go to stores, like you don't have to protect yourself, like wear a mask or gloves or anything.
Zamir, what do you think?
I think we could help by using our technology to spread awareness about the coronavirus, so some people could know to protect themselves during this time, and they should know the proper necessities that you need to use. And I also think that some people might disregard it because, like Sister Flor said, they don't think it's real, and they think it's just going to pass over in a matter of weeks or months.
You know, Earlier this morning, I was thinking about, you all know the story of Noah, right? And that it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. And I was thinking about the fact that God caused it to rain for 40 days. And in those 40 days, he wiped the planet clean of humanity, with the exception of Noah and his family, right? And then I thought about what's going on right now. And that in 30 days in the United States of America, in the matter of a month, that thousands of people have died and hundreds of thousands of people have been infected with this coronavirus. And I was thinking about how great God's hand is and the fact that people are disregarding this, as you all have stated. Spiritually, do you think that anything can be done as far as getting this truth to people, that this is not about science? You know, they're looking for vaccines. They're doing all of this research. Every day they come to us and tell us something new regarding the coronavirus, because they really don't know. They really don't know anything about this virus. They are doing research, and all the top scientists and biologists and doctors are doing whatever they can to try to find a tangible proof to explain why we are dealing with what we're dealing with. But it's a spiritual thing. And going back to the days of Noah, how do you think that we can, or is it even possible to convey to people that this is not just about science, this is spiritual, this is God doing this? What do you think? Anyone can start. What do you think, Truth? Let's start with Truth. What do you think?
Well, I think we could spread the word to more homeless people, because I think they will believe us more, because they're poor and they don't have a home. And I think their mind will be set right. It will be set more, because people that have everything, people that have homes, they don't care because they think they got it all. But homeless people know, I think they will believe more. They don't have much.
Okay, now that's a very interesting response. That homeless people, you think, will be more open to receive it because they don't have anything, but then people who have everything are more closed and will disregard it and not take it seriously. That's very interesting that you state that. Genesis, you were going to say something?
I was going to say that you can tell people about what's going on now, but they might not listen. But all that matters in the end, that you try to convey people to come towards God, because when you, if you go to heaven, he'll reward you for that. You'll get that blessing for trying to turn people to God. And if they don't listen, that's their fault. They should have turned to God.
Yes, that is very true. Let's take a break on that note. I want to take a quick break, and then we will come back because we have a lot to discuss.
Today I'm going to talk to you about physics. Come on in, girls. Let's go. This is the first rocket to get humans to Mars.
Really tall.
I'm a rocket structural engineer, designing and building parts of the rocket. You are the generation that will be stepping foot on Mars. Do I have a group of astronauts on my hands? Yes. You can become a rocket scientist or whatever else you want to be.
All right, we are back from the break and we are continuing our discussion about the coronavirus with some of our middle school students from Great Tomorrow's Middle School. And I wanted to talk about the fact that summer is coming up. And as I have stated earlier, the school is not going to reopen this school year. We all know that to be true. But in regards to summer, an article was put out, I believe yesterday or this morning, stating that de Blasio, who is the mayor of New York City, stated that New York City outdoor pools will be closed this summer for the entire summer, and that it is possible that the beaches will follow suit, that they're going to close the beaches in the summer as well. So when you hear this from de Blasio, and obviously it makes sense being that what we are dealing with at this present time, what do you all think about the summer, how the summer is going to be? You know, normally we have the summer camp where we do all of these wonderful trips, and then we pull out the pools and the water slides, and we have barbecues and have a great time in the courtyard of the church. But it doesn't look like we may be able to do that this year. So how does that make you all feel when you think about how your summer is going to be? Fadel, you can start.
I think my summer's gonna be good, but not that good, because summer is for like to enjoy in the pools and the beaches, but without pools. But I don't know what I'm gonna do.
And Zamir, what about you?
It's gonna be very disappointing that all the pools and beaches are closed, because during the summer everybody wants to go swim and go to the beach and relax. But now that the coronavirus shut everything down, people is gonna have to stay inside for the summer and not have very much fun.
And Genesis, what do you think? How do you think your summer's going to be this year?
I think my summer is going to be very different, because usually every year we go on a family vacation. This year we're supposed to go to like amusement park, but they're all that is closed, is canceled. So I'm kind of like upset about that. But now I have to stay home. And I didn't really used to go to like public pools unless I go to a hotel. So I'm not gonna be missing that. It's
okay.
It's sad.
And Truth, what do you think?
Well, this summer I applied to NYU STEP program and Fordham STEP program. Sad I did get accepted. I'm not going to be able to go now, but I know that I'll just stay in touch with my friends, so I won't be bored.
Okay, and Zipporah?
Well, I was kind of looking forward to going to the pools and stuff, and like to hang out with my friends and have some fun, laugh together. And well, I thought it would be good, like if we stayed home, because we could do we could still do activities, but it would still be boring. It would still be boring because, well, we used to have like as Truth said, we were supposed to go to STEP Florida to the STEP program, but we can't even do that now. Like we can't get accepted, and we can't be together when we're there, and we can't even go together when we're to go there, and we can't get out together. So it's kind of it feels bad.
Did you all ever think about the fact that you would be living in a time where you would see practically everything shut down? I mean, and I'm not just talking about the pools or the beaches in the summer, but right now at present, restaurants are closed with the exception of the few that are still doing delivery of foods. Movie theaters are closed. And other things are closed as well. Did you all ever think that you all would be looking at a time like this?
I never thought we would be living in a time like this, but I almost kind of knew because our pastor told us that was coming and that all of these things was going to happen.
Right, right.
Yeah, like Truth said, Pastor Manning talks about the tribulation coming, but I didn't know that it would affect us this way because Pastor Manning said we were part of the elect, but we have to go through it in order for everybody else to go through it. Because
yeah.
It's just, I didn't know it was going to impact us like this out of nowhere because you think we was going to finish the school year and everything, but it just got to have cut short for this reason. In order to go to heaven or go meet Jesus, you have to go through this tribulation.
Yes, that's an excellent statement, and thank God for Pastor Manning. I want to turn the corner for a second. We're still talking about the coronavirus, but I want to go to the news that, as we started talking about, remember when we first started the current events class, we were talking about the coronavirus and where it originated from, right? And people are putting so much focus in the fact that it originated in Wuhan, China. Right. And we know that to be true, whether or not it was in a lab, whether or not it was done elsewhere, I think is irrelevant at this point, because, again, we know that this is by the hand of God. Wherever it started is one thing, but ultimately that God is in control of this coronavirus. So that needs to be stated, to be made clear, especially to our listeners. But in regards to Wuhan, China, and China in general, there was an article that was posted this week in regards to Africans, right? And Africans in China being targeted and evicted from their apartments and hotels because of the coronavirus. And I know that you all read this article, but what the article stated was that 5 Nigerians who tested positive for the coronavirus broke quarantine. And so because they frequented restaurants and other places, they got other people infected as they were infected. Now, we don't know if that's true, because the government of China does not always tell the truth. They tell people what they want to tell them. But as a result of that, what they're stating is that now that they are evicting Africans from China, they don't want them there. What do you all think about that?
Well, what I think that is kind of mean, but I at the same time think it's mean and not, because, well, they say that China is the one who started the coronavirus, so it's kind of good that they go back to their homes, but it's also mean because they have to take them out. Because they have to take them out of their country, and they have nowhere else to go. Like, they have to be homeless in the streets, and it's uncomfortable. Have to eat from the streets, and they probably won't even eat anything because of the coronavirus, and you can't do anything.
What about you, Fidel?
I think that is not fair and it's racist that they gotta do that to only black people. And if some Chinese people came to America too, that's why it keeps traveling countries to countries, but it didn't hit Antarctica yet.
Okay. Zamir, what do you think?
I think it doesn't make sense to me, because if the virus started in China, and they kicked the Africans out because they had the coronavirus, I don't think it's right that they only was targeting the Africans and not the more people who had the coronavirus, to kick them out of their houses who are spreading it too.
Okay. And Genesis, you were going to say something?
I think that is messed up that they're evicting the Africans because it didn't even stem from African people. It stemmed from that place. So I feel like that's wrong of them to do that because it's just racist. Also, like Fadel said, it's racist that they did that because that's
Right.
not right. Why would they do that? And they know that this virus is going around, and they need a place to stay. Like Zipporah said, they're going to be homeless. They need a place to stay, and evicting them is not going to do anything. If they have the virus, they're going to keep spreading it because they're not in the house keeping it contained. So it's stupid in another way because they're just going to keep spreading it because they have nowhere to keep it like quarantined.
Right. And in regards to the coronavirus, the other aspect of it is food, right? And people are stocking up on food as we have done also. Elder Fleur went to a not supermarket, but it's a warehouse that actually sells to restaurants. And one of the things he stated to me was that we've been going to this place for years, shopping in this place for the church and for other things that we've been doing in the ministry. And he said this was the first time that he ever saw shelves in this store actually empty, that there was no food on some of the shelves in the store. And so when we're talking about this coronavirus and we're talking about food, one of the things is that farmers, because restaurants and schools and other businesses and so forth are closed, farmers don't have the supply or the demand the way that they used to. And so what they are doing is now that they're dumping milk, they are getting rid of produce and other kinds of vegetables. And so I was thinking when I saw this article that there are thousands of people right now who are unemployed, who are not working, who are struggling, trying to figure out how they're going to feed their families. And certainly we have food banks that are in place. But I'm thinking to myself, why would the farmers be throwing out all of this food, right? Because there are millions of people in America who could actually use this food, even though the restaurants are closed, even though the schools are closed, and so forth, right? There should be management in place to the extent where they can get the food from the farmers that they're not being able to sell to these restaurants and schools and so forth to get to the food banks. What do you think about that? Genesis, let's start with you.
I think that was wrong of the farmers to dump all that food. Like you said, people need the food right now. And I think they're doing that as an act to like get attention because food places are closing down, so they have nowhere to put their products to. But they didn't have to do that. They're doing that so they can get attention from other people, from other food places, so they can get their produce. That's why they're doing that. They're doing that just to show people that they can do it. They're not afraid to do that. That's what they're trying to show people, and I don't think that's right of them. Because if they was in other people's shoes, they would not want someone to do that to them. That was just wrong of them to do that.
Well, let me ask you another question in this way, in regards to this situation. Do you think that proper management would then allow the foods to be allocated to the places that are in need of this food? Do you think that it's just a problem with management? And Genesis, I heard your statement, but to the rest of you who are going to respond to this, do you think that it's just because of poor management? Truth, what do you think?
Well, I don't think this is because of poor management. I think the farmers are doing this because I don't think they should do this because there's people that need that food that they're wasting and throwing away. They could help people with the food that they have, and I don't think they should have done that.
Okay, so Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Truth. I don't think they should have done that either because people need the food that they need. They need the food to survive. and you can survive without food because there are foods that are really, really healthy for you and that you will survive in. And I don't think they should have done that.
Zamir?
I think the farmers are wrong to do that because instead of throwing the food out, they could have donated it to like a homeless shelter so they could use the food and during the quarantine.
And so when we talk about this, we talk about the food shortage. The Bible states in Matthew 24 that we're going to be dealing with famines, as all of you have stated, and you know to be true that we're in the midst of the tribulation, right? Though you don't hear it on the news, though you don't hear other people stating it, you know this to be true because you hear it from pastor, and it's spoken in the Word of God. So as we talk about the farmers jumping out, all of this food and so forth, and we talk about food shortage. I told you about Elder LaFleur going to this particular store, and the shelves were empty in that particular store, and he had never seen that in the years that we have been shopping there. The famine is going to come at some point in time, right? We don't know when it's going to take place, but we know that it's going to happen because God has said so. Are you all preparing? Are your families stocking up? Are they preparing for this time? And the second question, the second half to this is, do you think that people will wake up once the famine takes place? Or do you think they're just going to continue to disregard things? So there's two questions. One is, are you and your family preparing yourselves for that? And the second is, do you think that that will be a wake-up call for people when that is to happen? Fidel, let's start with you.
Family are stocking up in food, but when the famines start coming, people gonna realize that they need to go shopping and all of that. But when they go in the stores are empty and all of that, and all they have is nothing.
Okay. Zamir, what do you think?
During the coronavirus, my family has been stacking up food so we could eat and survive during the coronavirus. And I also think that the people, after they notice the famine start, they're going to take it more seriously and notice this is not something that's just going to go away real fast, and they're going to try to do anything they can to get food.
Yeah, definitely. Genesis?
My family has been stocking up food too. We have like this big bag of rice that comes in bulk size that we are saving for when the famine hits. But when it hits, well, it's already happening, but when it hits full force, people are going to, like Pastor Manning said, people are going to be to him because he has the whole stock. They're going to be asking for some of his supply of food, and he's going to tell them no because they have their chance to come when he said come, but they want to choose not to come when they're ready for it, and it doesn't work like that. So it's going to be hard on them.
And Truth, what do you think?
My family are preparing and they're stocking up, and well, we're listening to Pastor Manning because he's giving us advice on how many pounds we should bring and meat. And also, I think people do realize, I think it's going to be too late. When they do realize it's going to be late, they're going to be coming to the church and they're for forgiveness, but it's going to be really late and they're going to end up dying.
And so what I'm hearing from you and Genesis, Truth, you and Genesis said the same thing in different ways, is that once the famine comes, and we don't know when it's going to take place again, but it's going to happen at some point in time, that's when it's going to be a wake-up call for people. At least that's what I'm hearing from all of you are saying in unison, that will be the wake-up call for people. But Truth and Truth and Genesis, what I'm hearing from you two is that by that time it's going to be too late. And though people are going to be coming and begging and asking for forgiveness and looking for food and so forth, it's just simply going to be too late at that point. Is that what you all are saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's talk about the simple things, right? Or let's talk about what I term the new normal, right? So our new normal is to wear masks whenever we go outside. Our new normal is to wear gloves whenever we go outside. Our new normal, for the time being at least, is that when we do go to supermarkets, you have to stand on these long lines, and that is going to change at some point in time, right? I was talking to Jeremiah. You all know Jeremiah, a former high school student from ATLAH High School, right? Who usually goes to the barber every week. His hair has got to be together. And he was stating to me that one of the hardest parts for him in dealing with this is not being able to go to the barber to get a decent haircut. And so I was reading the news as I always do. And one of the things that I saw is that initially people were going out and buying toilet tissue like crazy. But the new thing now is that people are buying hair supplies. They said clippers have gone up 166% since being quarantined at home because people can't go to the beauty parlor. People can't go get their haircuts as they normally do. So the simple things that we used to be able to do before, we cannot do those things now. Has it caused you, and here's my question, has it caused you to look at things differently now? Do you think that maybe you took things for granted before that you can't take for granted now because you can't even go get a simple haircut if you want to, or you can't even walk to the next store to just pick up a piece of bread without standing online for an hour or two? Has it caused you to think or look at things differently now that we are in the midst of the coronavirus as opposed to how you looked at things before? Genesis, let's start with you.
Yes, before the coronavirus happened or before it took place, school. You know how people feel about school. Some people don't like it. I never thought I liked school this much until it was taken away from me. Seeing my friends, I didn't know I cared about them this much that I'll be thinking about them all the time. Because at school, we just play around with each other. I'm not thinking about can something happen to them or something wrong with them. But now I'm at home. I wish I spent the time that we had together more because I took them for granted, took school for granted, and more things for granted because it never got taken away from me. But now that I'm stuck at home, you think about things more if you had it.
Zamir?
I think I took going outside like to the store more for granted because usually before everything happened with the coronavirus, you could go outside like basically anytime you want to go to the store to get something you want. But now that the coronavirus happened, you either have to wait online or the stores are closed down, and I think I took that for granted.
Zipporah?
As Jonathan stated, I miss my friends too because I just noticed that yesterday when I was going to sleep, I was just thinking about my friends, like, are they okay? Like, how are they doing? Because I don't really see them anymore, and usually I just talk to the girls, like saying hi and stuff, like regular things that we talk about. But I just miss my friends. I miss school, and I can't stay in this. I can't stay in the same place at once. Like,
okay. Fidel?
I miss my friends and going outside. Like usually, I go outside like to buy candy on that or anything. But now I took in that for granted because usually I go outside every Sunday. But now I can't because it due to the quarantine, and the park around my house is closed now. Everything around me is closed except for like 2 stores around my house.
And Truth?
I think staying at home because thinking what happens next? When am I gonna see? When am I gonna see my friends? When am I gonna go back to school? When am I gonna be able to just go out and have fun? But I've just been thinking about that more recently because since I'm at home and I'm not doing I'm not doing the things I've been doing before, I've just been thinking about that a lot.
Okay. And if I were to ask you, what's the one thing you miss the most? I mean, I've heard all of the statements that you all have made, but if I were to ask you, what's the one thing you miss the most out of being quarantined at home for this last month, what would you tell me? Zamir, let's start with you.
The thing I will miss the most is going to school to see my friends.
Okay. Fadel?
Going to school.
Genesis?
I miss going to school and seeing my friends.
Truth?
It'll be my friends.
Okay. Sephora?
Yeah, my friends too.
Now, you know what I find interesting is that majority of you stated you miss going to school. Did you ever think you would hear yourself saying that you miss going to school?
No.
No.
So it's easy to see how we take things for granted when we have things, but when they're taken away from us, we don't have it. Well, I want to thank you all for sharing with me today. It's been such a blessing to speak with you all. I really do miss you all. I know you probably don't miss the teachers too much, because we're the ones who give you all of the work. But we certainly, as teachers, we miss you all. And I just want to encourage you all to continue to follow Pastor Manning and listen to the instructions that he gives to us, that God gives unto him. And I pray that you all will continue to be safe, okay? So until we speak again, be safe. And we thank you all for watching this week's edition of Current Events class. God bless you all and peace out.